Business side, and I am live. Oh my gosh. I waited all year, all day to come to this evening with my chapstick on. So I have fresh lips for tonight. Tonight is open that bottle night. And I must say, probably 3 years running, I've been doing this, and it's been a blast. Inside the link on the events or description, I have, actually in the description, not the links. Of course, you can tell, I've been taking a couple of nips before I got here, but that's what this is all about. But it's created in 2000, by a husband and wife team. I put a link inside the description so you can go read more about that. That started in 2000, and it's been going strong ever since. I mean, so strong that it is around the world. You know what? I'm just talking. Yep. I don't know if I've even heard. So if somebody's looking, send me a message, give me a thumbs up or something. Say, hey, we hear you. Somebody, thumbs up. Anybody, scream. Ah! Yeah. So until somebody tells me they can't hear me, I'll just keep talking. So I put up a photo earlier, to get comments and responses on what should I drink. I had like a nice spread of wines, all older wines. Now, let's get back to the idea. So the concept is to open up an older bottle of wine that you have. That special bottle that you've been sitting on for that special occasion. Sometimes that special occasion just never comes because you don't want to open that bottle. Or for myself, it is, hey, Danny, how you doing? Hello. For myself, it goes like this. You have all these wines, that you may have bought 3 bottles, 6 bottles, a case, even 2 cases. So over the years, you're drinking, you're sharing these wines, and you get down to that last bottle. 1 bottle of wine. And that's where I'm at right now. I got through the hard part of, having wines from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. I remember having to drink a bunch of those wines, just to get caught up. Some were good, and some were just bad. I probably should have drank them maybe 10 years earlier. But I must say that all of my whites, and probably my oldest white, 2 whites, were probably 15 and 17 years old. One was a Suave Classico, Gorgonega is a grape, and the other was a Muscadet out of Alsace, and they were phenomenal. So all of my whites did pretty well. Reds can be sometimes temperamental, especially if you move them, they're so gentle. But I'm pretty happy thus far. My average, of opening wines, older wines that I've had has been pretty good. Which brings us to today now. Woo! Again, as I mentioned earlier, it was very, very hard. I had a couple of wines. I thought about going all local, and then I thought, oh no, I'm going to go white. I probably should do red. I mean, I have so many wines. I have a Starry Night Petite Verdot from 2004, I believe it is. I have those who remember Starry Night, that was a good wine. I also have one of the original bottlings of the Petite. So I had the 2004 and the 2005, and I drank the 2004, comparing it with the 2015 with a friends of mine, and that was fantastic. And I'm now sitting on the 2005 of that, so I thought maybe I should open up that wine. I said no, and then I had Earthquake Zen from 2007. Woo! Yeah, I'm trying to go through my mind here without having to run through the cellar and take pictures and everything, But I had to settle on something. I had to narrow it down to something local, some white, some red. And so I put it out there. I put it out there to followers on different platforms, to get some insight. What should I drink? What should I drink? And you know what? That the vote for the Petite Verdot, which would be a Spanish red, it's coming out ahead. I'm trying to stall time, get a few more minutes, but I do have, a couple of wines, and I have a white wine to balance this whole thing off for myself, you know, from drinking all this red. But when you're opening up an old bottle, even sometimes being stored in the best conditions, you know, strange things happen. So you better always have a backup. So as I said, the Petite Verdot was coming out ahead, and so I'm going to go ahead and get started and get that open. And I need one more thing, so I'm going to step away from the camera for a bit. So the suspense is killing me. So I know it's killing you, but the suspense is killing me. I'll be right back. I need to get myself a couple of Hades corkers, and then I am ready to go. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be sediment. I have the bottles, the red wines, especially have those upright, had them upright, you know, for most of the day. But I'm sure there's still going to be sediment. But I have my Haley's corker. Haley's corker, you know, is going to be filtering. You see that screen in there? You look at that screen. It has a screen in there. It's going to be aerating, you know, it has a pinhole and a full hole for pouring out the wine, you know, so this is going to be great. So, without further ado, drum roll, brrr, bing. As I said, the Petite Verdot reigns supreme. That's what's standing right here on the pedestal. So, Abadia, excuse my Spanish, my Espanol. All right, Abadia Retuerta. Okay, Abadia Retuerta Petite Verdot. This is a state grown coming out of Spain in the Castile y Leon region of Spain. All right, you know, so I'm gonna get tongue tied because, as I said, I've already been indulging in, you know, some white wines and warming up my palate and eating some food and drinking some water. So let's get this started here. I'm really excited, super excited about what this is going to be. Petite Verdot, for those who don't know, an older grape coming out of France. Probably not probably, but originally part of the original part of the Bordeaux blends. You know, where you had what you had cab. I like to say cab front, cab soft, Merlot, Petite Verdot, maybe some Petite Syrah and Malbec. You know, but part of the original blends until it started balancing itself out and going like, you know, Cab Merlot or Merlot Cab, and maybe sometimes, you know, some Petite Syrah, Petite Verdot in it. So let's get it open. We're coming in at 14% alcohol. Oh, most importantly, vintage. 2002. Let's give you a look at that bottle. 2002 is the vintage of this estate grown Petite Syrah, Petite Verdot, 2002. So I'm kind of nervous, you know, because you never know what's going to happen, you know, with these wines. You know, but you can only hope for the best. I also had another one by this same maker, and that one was phenomenal too. That was a 2005. You know, so we'll see what can happen in 2002. Oh my God, this is great. Well, check this out. Let's just take through the whole process here. You look at the cork. You know, there's no red stains outside the cork. You know, and these bottles are laying on its side. So that tells me what? That the cork didn't shrink. Hopefully, no air got in. This is looking pretty good. Now we're gonna get this open, and hopefully the cork doesn't break inside. That we have nice moisture. It's not a dry, brittle cork. Wow, man. Two-step corkscrew. Woo! That first step, you know, that first opening, that first step. Hey, man, how you doing? That first step is most important, because if that doesn't open up quick, we got some sticking going on there. Even though the wine didn't come up the sides to the top of the cork, it did make its way. Ooh, we got a little breakage here. Let's see if we can get that. I don't want this to break. We don't want this to break. No, 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 no. Ah, yeah, baby. Woo, that was close. That was really close. Man. Oh, that smells good. Look at that color. Isn't that beautiful? Now, Petite Verdot is, you know, is very inky, you know, very dense. Just like Petite Syrah. In that case, you think about the regular Syrah or Shiraz. You think about, I said the Syrah, Shiraz. You know, they can be pretty inky. Wow. I mean, that's almost like black, dark. But we're talking deep purple. Man, I'm looking forward to this. Now, here's another lesson. So you can smell the bottle, all right, the wine in the bottle, and maybe you can get some nose off of it, thinking if it's a good wine or a bad wine. But the proof comes in when you pour that wine into the glass. More air You know, gives you more surface area to the wine. It's going to aerate that wine. If it's bad, if it's funky, if it's nasty, woo, that's it. But from this perspective, so far so good. I'm going to put in my Haley's corker to catch any sediment that may want to venture forward. And let's give it a pour. Let's just make it all ceremonious and put it in the video while we pour. Get a look at that. Oh my God, that is beautiful. And you know what? I'm going to do a couple of things. So I'm going to let this one air a little bit. I'll be right back because I'm going to go ahead and do this right. Okay, let's bring out my big boy here. Okay, here we go. Let's bring out my big boy here. You know, what I have right here is just my standard everyday tasting glasses, you know, so that works out great. And that's what I do my reviews in, so everything's consistent. But I'm going to put this in my big boy also because I want this to really get aired. Check this out. I want this to really get aired, and I want to taste all the beauty that exists. I mean, I'm curious. I wonder what it's going to be. Is it going to smell like fruit? Is it going to smell like leather? Is it going to smell like mold? Is it going to smell funky? Well, we're about to find out. Well, I'm about to find out. And I hope that you are engaging in this evening of Open That Bottle Night. I can smell the berries from right here. This is so nice. Wow. So that's a good sign. That's a real good sign. I don't smell any funk. I just smell berries. So again, I hope you're participating in this Open That Bottle Night, opening up something special, something you've had for quite some time. And, you know, we can sit on these wines forever. I don't care how expensive, how old the wines are. It's meant to be drank. Drink the wine. All right, here we go. This is in the standard glass. Oh, man, that nose is nice. There's no funk. Else I'll be singing, what's that? Come function, get the funk out of my face. But there's no funk right here. This is all berries, baby. Now let's go deeper. Now this is aged, I believe it was like for 10 months in oak. There's a nice little spicy notes there. Little pepper. Little like, you know, like get the dust smell from cocoa. So I'm getting a little bit of that, but it's very faint. There's a little age on it, but I want you to get a look at that color of this wine in the glass. I got my white background here, but I want you to get a look at that. Look at that. Let's do it like this. Look at the color of that wine. Isn't that incredible? Oh my gosh, that is inky. Well, that is deep. So it held this color. This is 2002. Wow. So what, 19 years? 19 years old, 2002. And I kind of feel bad. You know why? This is the last bottle in my collection. The absolute last bottle, 19 years, my word. So who was born in 2002? Anybody watching that was born in 2002? Or you have any kids that were born in 2002? This toast is for them. Wow, let's get a nose out of the big boy here. All right, let's get at a nice swirl. You know, when I have an older wine, I like to smell it in two different glasses. You know, my big boy, if it's red, you know, then my standard glasses, you know, just to get a difference and also the taste. Here, you know, I'm getting like some plum notes and almost like subtle cooked fruit, macerated fruit. Wow, and there's like leather notes. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Two different glasses. But then in the background on this one is the berry. So here's the taste. All right, let's get a little rinse. So you know, standard tasting process for me. I'm going to do a rinse first because I want to know if it's alive. Do I have acidity? Okay. Did it maintain its acidity, its liveliness? You know, even if just a little bit. All right. So that's my first taste. Here we go. Okay. Acidity is there. So it's coming at 14% alcohol. Dry. Okay. I'm talking dry. So if you like dry wines, here's a good one. At 14% alcohol at 19 years old.
The most important thing in a Chevy Equinox is not front pedestrian braking, and it's not forward collision alert either. No.
Tannins are nice. There's a boldness to it right now. I have it like cool. So it's like cellar cool. So we're talking maybe about 60, 62 here. It's like cellar cooled now. When this warms up, I think it's going to be fantastic. But cellar cooled down, not overly heavy. Fruit is nice. I mean, fruit's not like, you know, boom, pow, pang, dits. You know, but the fruit layer is pretty nice. It's very well blended. But it does leave a nice mouth-watering effect. Tannins are smooth. Wow. Definitely be a good food wine. Kind of like, I can't wait till it warms up. But let's see how different that wine is going to be in the big boy. Here we go. Rinse first. Now this causes the wine to fall more on my mid palate. I get more of the tannins coming out of the big boy than I did in my regular glass. Definitely a fruit wine. Dry, pure dry. You know, so you're not gonna have a, if any at all, residual sugar coming out of this wine. This is all fruit, meant to be enjoyed with food. Acidity is nice, but definitely meant to be enjoyed with food to bring out more of its flavors. And as my evening goes on, I will find something to snack on that's going to help bring out, you know, more of those fruity qualities. Let's see here, what else? Almost, you know, surrounding in the middle, a little licorice. But those tannins, man, woo! Those tannins are there, baby. But it's not crazy. It's not like puckering kind of crazy, you know. So it's really nice. So again, for those who are just joining in, the vote came in. The consensus was for me to open up the 2002 Petite Verdot Abadia Retuerta from Castile Leon, Spain. So it's a Spanish red. The grape is Petite Verdot. Having it 2 glasses. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do it because it was a wine that I wanted to open, and it was a local wine. So I'm going to open it anyway. So I'll have 2. My second choice for myself was going to be Parallel 44. This is a Wisconsin-made wine. Glacier Red is the wine. This is a blend of grapes that were grown right there in the vineyard. The vintage on this is 2009. And the grapes are going to be Foch, Frontenac, and wild grapes. You know, the cool thing about the wild grapes, these were grapes that were grown on the winery owner's father's land that they cultivated, brought them to the vineyard, nursed them, took care of them, and brought them to a point to run to their own. It's a funny thing. I remember first tasting a wine made from those grapes, those wild grapes. You know, it was like, whoa! It was bitter. It wasn't good at all. Bitter, foxy. But after a period of maybe like 8 years, you know, they're finally coming to their own. But this is 2009, doing those probably the 3rd or 4th year of those grapes. It blended it in with some of the grapes that they have there on the property. So let's give it an open and let's see what we got here. So 2009, right? So what we're talking, 11 years about. All right, so the foil is off. A blend of local grapes, and these are cool climate grapes. So these are grapes that grow in your colder areas of the world. You know, so we're talking, you know, in the Midwest, we're talking Minnesota. Ooh, okay. So this is going to be interesting here. All right, let's see what we got. Whew, wow, there was no juice on the top, but you know, it's soaked. So let me do it like this for you. So here's the top of the cork. Okay, there's the top of the cork for the Parallel 44 2009 red blend. Here's the bottom of the cork. Check out them colors again. Look those grapes up. That's Frontenac, Foch, and the other grape was going to be wild grapes. That you can't look up. In fact, I don't know what the name of those grapes are. And nice crystals on the bottom. The cork smells nice, but again, the only way to know if this wine is good, I can smell the bottle, and it smells good right here in the bottle, but the only way to know if that wine survived is to give it more airspace, and that means pouring it in the glass. So here we go. 2009 Glacial Red from Parallel 44. Alcohol on this is going to be 12. What do we got here? Oh, 12.9%, so almost 13%. So let's get a look at that one. First, here's the Parallel 44. Okay. Here's the Petite Verdot. Get a look at that. So blend, straight grape. I mean, pretty similar in that regards. So let's get a look at it with my white background. Oh, I want to show you this. You know, so two different corks. So here's the Parallel 44 cork. Here's a Petite Verdot cork. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I mean, so far so good on the Parallel 44. But background, color is nice. Held this color really nice. So we have a brick red at the top, coming down to a nice garnet color. So it held, I remember this wine when it first was bottled, so it held its color really nice. You know, but I'm looking for the acidity. Because we're a cooler climate here in Wisconsin, a lot of our red wines are going to have a nice palette of acidity to it. Some can be full-bodied, some can be medium-bodied, but the acidity is going to be nice. So I'm looking forward to that. Again, I remember drinking this wine, and this, I'll tell you, is the last bottle of that 2009 from Parallel 44. So here's where I'm at in my wine cellar. I'm at the last bottles of some of my favorite wines that I enjoyed of the time. So let's get a nose. Wow, from here, without sticking the nose in, we got cherry, raspberry, cranberry. Wow, that's nice. Woo! Now, cranberry for sure when you stick the nose deep inside. Wow, and this was aged, I believe this was aged in American oak, so you kind of pick up that spicy notes here. Wow, it has a richness, a very nice nose. Wow, I don't remember that nose being quite that way. You know how you can sometimes pick up the char in the barrel? I definitely picked that up here. Oh wow, but then you also get I remember that wild grape too. But it's not, when I say wild grape, please don't misinterpret thinking, oh, it must be something funky. No, it has that kind of earthy taste to it, that kind of natural nose to it. I'm going to pick up on that. So here's the rinse. Again, rinse. See if we got acidity. See if there's still life to it. And then we taste. Okay. Nice acidity. That wild grape comes through and brings that earthiness to it, but then the fruit that's there hits that mid palate when you get that like kiss of ripe fruitiness and sweetness. Dry. Let's give it a taste now. Nice tannins. Now, this is going to be unique. Okay, with that wild grape makes it very unique. It's not just the regular grapes. But I liked it then, I like it now. It held its own all these years. I didn't know what to expect. You have to understand, for some of these grapes that are grown here in Wisconsin, for some of the wines that were made, what was missing was ageability. You know, how is this wine going to taste in 5 years or in 6 years or in 8 years? Vicky, how are you doing? I'm new to wine and excited to learn. Well, you know, Vicky, you've come to the right place because there's lots of information. And if you want to catch up, you know, with us or catch up more on wine, I'm the Wisconsin Wine Guy. On every platform I'm on, it's the Wisconsin Wine Guy. So that's Facebook, that's Twitter, that's LinkedIn, that's YouTube. But you can see all sorts of videos, learning videos. You can see all sorts of wine reviews on Wisconsin Wine Guy on YouTube. So be sure to check that out. So again, for those who are just joining, I first opened the #1 pick when I put out what wines I was choosing between. This is a Spanish Petite Verdot coming from Spain, 2002. And now I just recently opened the red blend from Parallel 44, Glacier Red. This is a 2009 dry red wine. Let me put a little bit more in here. You know, in fact, they play pretty nice together. The Glacier Red and the Petite Verdot. So let's put, I mean, again, look at those coloring. How different the color is. And the nose. Now, wow. Whoa, whoa. As this wine, the Petite Verdot, as it breathes in the glass, oh my gosh. There is like more and more aromas coming out of that wine. But good ones, okay? Not bad ones. Now, ooh, I mean, I'm liking the smell. There's a little bit almost like a candied fruit smell deep in the background on this Glacier Red by Parallel 44. Again, if you just joined the Parallel 44 is a local winery here in Wisconsin. You can check them out online. If you also new, open that bottle night. We'll do a recap. Open that bottle night. This is the night every year, February 27th, since 2000. Opening up those special bottles, those aged bottles, those older bottles, those ones that you were saving for a special occasion, but that special occasion never came. And as I said earlier, I myself am sitting on the last bottles of quite a few bottles I enjoyed over the years. And this gives me a chance to just open up those wines and give it a taste. So I'm going to taste this Parallel 44 wine again. Wow. Dry. I mean, it changes. I mean, we're talking wines that are over 10 years old, and they're changing, they're evolving right in the glass. You know, and so when you taste, different things happen. You take that first initial taste, you may taste fruit, or you may get more tannins, or you may taste more alcohol. I think about the Petite Verdot, there was that slight alcohol because it's 14% alcohol, but then it's beginning to just mold into more fruit. Wow, that's really nice. But both these wines are dry. So 14% alcohol on the Petite Verdot, 12.9 or 13% on the Parallel 44 red blend. Wow. Again, what's unique about that Parallel 44? We'll start off as an experiment, cultivating wild, locally grown grapes right here in Wisconsin, and then bring them to the vineyard, giving them love, nurturing those grapes, you know, to make them come into their own. So they were used in a blend. Today, the wild grapes are used to make their own individual wine, just those grapes themselves. Then it's called Carl's Wild Grape, you know, which I enjoy that wine. It's so unique. And here's the thing about wine, you know, is that every grape is unique. And every grape is going to produce a certain taste to it, you know. And that's what I enjoy, you know, most about local wines, in addition to wines from all over the world. Now I want to show you guys these corks again. In my right hand, this is the cork from Parallel 44, all right, from 2009. This is the cork from the 2002 Petite Verdot. Check that out. You know, I mean, the wine's held up pretty good. I give myself a pat on the back because, as I said earlier, you know, you move around and you know you got to move all your wines. I remember the first move I did. I had to move my wines from one cellar to the new cellar, you know, like across town. So it's like packing up all the wines. I had their own pack, you know, I had to move all these wines. You're trying to be very careful, and you're trying to get them all comfortable, you know, in their new home, and you're trying to make sure the temperatures are right, you know, and so far so good. So far so good. I mentioned earlier that, you know, my whites perform much better than my reds, you know, on average, I have to say. The whites, the oldest whites between 15 and 17 years old. One from France, one from Italy. You know, so the whites did pretty well. I had some reds that I probably should have opened a lot sooner, but the reds did very well. Now I actually don't see no sediment yet, but doesn't mean there's no sediment down in the bottom of these bottles. Okay, now you can see a little. Well, you probably can't see, but I can tell there's a little haziness in the as far as the bottle goes on the Pale Ale 44 wine. You know, so we got some sediment, you know, that dropped or separated, but it still maintained a decent color over the years. And in fact, I can see I have this Haley's corker, so it's catching most of the sediment from both of these bottles. But I don't know if you can see it here, but I can see it in my glass. I can see it on my end. Let's give it a swirl here. I can see it on my end. You can see the little particles of the sediment of the wine in my glass. You probably can't tell, but I can see it here in my glass. So it's there. And again, I'm drinking a Petite Verdot out of 2 wine glass, different my standard everyday tasting wine glass, and then I like to call my big boy. Reginald, how you doing, man? No wine for you, bro? Oh, living my wine life through others tonight. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to do that. But you're just coming in, man, so I'll say it again. I'm doing, which was voted on for tonight, the Petite Verdot by Abadia, Retuerta. You know, this is a 2002 Petite Verdot coming from Spain. And then I'm doing a local wine. Grapes grown right here in Wisconsin, Pale Ale 44, Glacial Red. This is a 2009 blend of 3 grapes, Frontenac, Foch, and wild grapes. These are grapes, don't even know what the name of them are, but they were grown right here in the Wisconsin soil, cultivated, and now they're making their own wine. I should say that grape is now being made into a single varietal type wine at Pale Ale 44 today. So it's pretty unique. So back in the day when they first began with that wild grape, they wanted to use it in blends, you know, because it was uncertain as to what kind of wine it was going to make. So they wanted to have grapes, utilize grapes that they already had success with to kind of tame or tone down some of that wildness that would take place in that grape. And I was saying earlier that I had a chance to taste those, the juice for those grapes in their early days, you know, and think, oh my God, I don't know if this is going to make it, if it's ever going to get tame, because it was very tart and very little flavor. But over time and with care, you know, Pale Ale 44 did a good job with cultivating those grapes and training them to produce, you know, some really nice wines. Again, it's just a wild grape that's grown here that many people find in their yards and don't even know what kind of grapes they are. But they decided to bring them to the vineyard and give them a home and make their own wine. So again, back then, 2009, I believe 2009 up to 2014, or maybe 2012. They were utilizing the wild grape in the blends with the Glacial Red. As again, now the wild grape is a varietal used on its own in their wines, and the blend is no more. So I have this one, and then I'll show you this one. Then I have the 2014 Glacial Red. You know, so I'm coming to the end of some of my Pale Ale 44 wines. I mentioned earlier that what I found in a lot of some of the wines of Wisconsin, of grapes that were grown here in Wisconsin soil, is that, you know, there was no age proof. You know, are these wines age worthy? You know, and I've been opening up some of these wines over the years, and they've been phenomenal. In fact, there's some wineries are now not releasing their wines in the same. They're releasing them maybe 3 to 5 years later. You know, maybe even longer. You know, and these are made from grapes grown right here. You know, so back then, I had to take it upon myself and have discipline and sit on some of these wines and see what happens. I even did an old Riesling from one of the wineries. I believe that was Von Stiel. I did one of their old Rieslings, 2000 and geez. You know, you drink so much wine, you try to remember all these vintages. But it was in the early 2000s, and I drank on that 2019. So it probably was I want to say probably like a 9 or a 10, I'm thinking, you know, but that held up pretty nice too. I also drank a Pale Ale 44 before they started making wine from their own grapes that they grow there. They made wine from grapes like Riesling, Chardonnay. They made some phenomenal Chardonnays. The Gewürztraminer was phenomenal. And they also did a Riesling, and that was would be back in 2006, 7. And I drank that Riesling, my last bottle of that Riesling, in 2000 and 2010. No, that was later. Jeez, I drank so much wine. So that'd have been like maybe 2016 that I drank that. It held up really nice, you know what I mean? So again, ageability on some of these wines I was looking forward to, and now I have this chance on Open That Bottle Night to open up some of the old local wines and seeing how they held up. So I'm going to take another taste of this Pale Ale 44. Now you're getting more fruit. The wild grape was first in the foreground at the beginning of this. And we open these lids up, and now the wild grape is starting to go into the background, and the fruity quality is coming from the Foch and the Frontenac is starting to take over and come to the foreground. It's amazing when you open up a bottle of wine, and I'm tasting my Petite Verdot in 2 different glasses. You open up a bottle of wine, and how it evolves and it changes in the glass. So now I'm going to, let me pour some more of my Petite Verdot in here. All right, because I'm going to do a good rinse. I would admit that on the Pale Ale 44 wine, you know, I mean, again, when it comes to residual sugar and leveling the wines of what's dry and what's not, it's like all across the board, you know, all across the world. You know, I mean, everyone's palate is going to detect a certain level, amount of sweetness in a lot of wines, unless there's absolutely bone dry, like 0% residual sugar. You know, but a residual sugar scale for dry can be anywhere from, I go to part percentages, you know, from 0 to like 3%, depending on where they're utilizing and what their scale are, you know, in different parts of the world. So now I'm going to go back to the Petite Verdot. I'm going to give myself a rinse. But there's a remarkable fruitiness in that Pale Ale 44 wine. Wow. You know, and there is like probably just a little bit of residual sugar that held on, you know, but it still has that, it still has a dryness to it. And it's enough to just to give it that fruitiness. And that's why I say now the grapes from the wild grape is going to the background, and the foreground is now bringing forth that fruitiness from the Frontenac and the Foch. So that's my rinse on the Petite Verdot. Now this here, to me, is classic dry. If I drink a dry wine, I like dry, bone dry. You know, want a wine that it's going to be good with food, got to be lively with acidity. It's going to be great with food, because once I have it with food, all of those flavors, just the subtle nuances of flavors that I taste or smell, when I have it with food, booyah, there it is. I had food earlier, and I didn't prepare myself something for this tasting like I did in previous years. However, I'm just going to drink some wine tonight. I mean, I'm glad you guys are joining. Of those who are joining in late, this is Open That Bottle Night. It's been around since 2000. I've been doing it for a few years now myself, giving myself a chance to open up some old wines that I have. Wow, that's dry. Woo! Baby, that's dry. But, and the tan is right there. Again, now, as it airs out, as it breathes more, you know, now those tannins are just grabbing me. They say, I'm here. Whatever wine you're drinking doesn't even matter, because what I got, I'm taking over. So I'm drinking that Petite Verdot, which is the grape, in 2 different glasses. You know, my standard drinking glass, which I have the Pale Ale 44 in, and also my big boy, because I want to, that's a 2002. And I want to give that, you know, a lot of room to get air circulated through, all right? Let me give it a taste. Again, now it's getting more plummy on the nose. Plum and spice coming here. Wow. Nice. A little blackberry too, a little bit. Plum, spice, blackberry. I mean, it just keeps changing, you know, which is great. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about wine. And guess what? There is no right or wrong answer. Okay, your nose, my nose, your palate, my palate is going to detect something completely different. In fact, it's a surprise to everyone, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about wine. So don't ever allow yourself to be intimidated, you know, by someone that possesses all this wine knowledge. Guess I can't let you drink alone. Well, I guess you can't, Abraham. What you drinking on? Share, share, share. I mean, whatever page you're following me on, make sure you post a picture so I can go back and look at it. because I'm on this live broadcast gadget here that allows me to look at one screen, but I'm on 3 different platforms. So this is pretty cool. But I can see all of the comments coming in on all the platforms. You know, so I got YouTube, a couple of Facebook, LinkedIn, and just doing it up. So Vicky, how you doing? Hey, welcome back again. So are you drinking anything? You know, tell us all what you're drinking on. Wow. So, all right, that's right. Now I'm going to try my Petite Verdot out of this glass, my big boy glass. There we go. Mm. Mm. Wow. Screams. Ah! Screams for food. This one here. But I'm not going to give in. I'm just not. I refuse to give in because I'm going to enjoy this wine. And believe it or not, at 14% alcohol, like I said earlier, it came in that alcohol. I mean, it was, you knew the alcohol was there when I first opened the bottle, you know. Again, that's what happens when the wine just sits in a bottle, you know, for a lot of years. You know, everything just gets tight and confused and everybody's, you know, battling, you know, who's going to be dominant, you know. But once it begins to air out, you can breathe. You know, now different things begin to happen. The alcohol is not in the forefront now. The alcohol now is being subdued. And it wasn't all that heavy before, but I can taste it. I can feel it. But now it's a little bit subdued. And now those tannins come through. Whereas in the beginning, the tannins were, you know, like very light. But the tannins are there now, but they're attacking in the beginning, but then they slowly melt like butter. You know, if you can dig it. Just slowly melts like butter. It's like biting into it, probably one of the best cuts of steak you could ever have. You know, this is that. But it's definitely screaming for food because there's a lot of flavor there. And it's saying, hey, you know, I want to show you more of what I have. But I'm forcing it to show me without food. That's what we're doing here. We're doing this without food tonight, you know. So I was only going to do 1 wine, but it turned into 2 right away because I wanted to open up something local. Let's give this Petite Vardo another taste. Mm. Wow. I tell you, I was talking earlier about dry wines. Both of these are dry wines. The Pale 44, based on the residual sugar scale in Wisconsin or the Midwest, and the Petite Verdot, based on whatever that residual sugar scale is in Spain. However, I can tell you this, tasting between the two, there's no residual sugar in the one from Spain. That wine, this wine is dry, you know, and that's the thing, you know, oftentimes we'll get a wine and it says that this wine is dry. The description will say this wine is dry, and you taste it, and everyone's palate's going to be different. Like, oh my God, it has kind of like a sweetness to it, you know, and that's the residual sugar. You're just probably a lot more sensitive to tasting that residual sugar, you know. But then there are those wines that say they're dry, and you're thinking, well, I got this whole, you know, dry and sweet thing figured out, and then you taste that wine, and it is like not even the same kind of dryness compared to the wine that you just had a few minutes earlier. And I definitely get that difference right here between these 2 wines. You know, both of them are being dry, but there's different levels of dry when we talk about how much sugar is left in it. You know, and I enjoy a good dry wine that has, you know, 0% residual sugar. You know, I'm not going to convert that to grams tonight because tonight isn't about doing math and being serious. It's about having fun. But, and then you have those wines that may have like 1 to 2% residual sugar, which can still be dry. All right, but, you know, to each his own. And I enjoy them both. I will tell you this, you know, for a wine that's from 2009 at Pale 44, I mean, I enjoy how it still has its youthfulness to it as far as ripe, you know, red berry fruit. I mean, and again, you know, that wild grape coming through there. But I'm trying to, I want to describe that nose to you. It's almost like a good, I don't know if you ever had, there's some French wines, even some wines from Australia, some of the red wines there's a certain toast, almost like a, not even a caramelization, but a certain toast, you know, a char that happens in the barrel that you kind of get that nose to it. It's like a sweetish char kind of smell to it, and that's what, to me, you get here from this wild grape blended with the fruit. Wow, I mean that's just nice. Mm. Mm. Again, dryness, softer tannins in the Petite Verdot, but it definitely has that fruitiness to it. Now, again, I hope you're enjoying this evening, because I'm enjoying this evening. You know, I'm not on a lot of my platforms. If you're on YouTube, you know, until I get 1,000 followers, I can't do the whole thing with, you know, just like you do on the other social platforms like Facebook, anything like that. So you can't really post anything, but you can make comments, you know, on the video, which is good, which I can see here, you know. But we'll get there. We get to the 1,000, we can start putting images in there. However, if you follow me on Facebook, you know, on my Facebook page, Wisconsin Wine Guy, and I'm also doing it on my personal page as well. Yeah, I didn't go live on Instagram. Instagram, I'm going to get pictures tonight. I figured that would have been a bit too much. I would have been confused. But I want you to post pictures of your wine, tag the Wisconsin Wine Guy in it, hashtag Open That Bottle Night 2021. You know, I mean, let's just do this up. I want to see what everyone's drinking tonight. I want to see what special bottle you open. You know, let's just share this all around. I'm going to continue to enjoy this, and I think it's probably a good time for me to cut and maybe come up with some food, and who knows, I may be back a little bit later because my party just begun. I don't know what time it is at your party, but my party is still early, and I'm going to keep doing this, and I may even open up another bottle of wine. We'll see how it goes. So, to all who are watching tonight, thanks for joining me in this celebration. And I want to say, as always, let your palate be the guide when selecting your wine. And I'll see you later tonight, or maybe I won't. We'll see. Enjoy it. Open that bottle, y'all. Ciao.